Finals week. Whether you're a student or faculty member, it can get pretty stressful. Whether it's pulling an all-nighter, eating unhealthy foods, or cramming for a test, there are several ways to cause yourself more stress. Jessica McLaughlin and Carrie Jorgensen are counselors at SDState. They are here today to speak about the common stressors that come with finals week and how to cope. Thanks for being here today.
Welcome. This is cool.
Absolutely.
This week is the start of finals week. What are some of the most common issues that you think that faculty and students face this time of year?
So we see a lot of, obviously, it's the end of the semester stress where everybody's scrambling to get their studying in, their projects done, all of that. But on top of that, because everybody here is human, there's also a lot of the wintertime stress where there's usually financial stress. People aren't feeling very good. Some people are planning on going home, and that's stressful because not everybody's home life is great. Some people don't get to go home because maybe they're an international student or they live across the country and they don't have a way to get home. And then there's also the idea that people don't know if they're going to pass their classes or not, whether they're going to graduate on time, and what else?
Yeah, I think that overall there's just, for a lot of students, it's like this sense of overwhelm that comes across at this time. Along with that, like you said, like, am I going to pass this class or not? And that's very scary for a lot of people, but it's not just kind of I'd say in the spring, you have this big finals week and then you get to look forward to this big vacation. And this time of year is a little bit different because, right, the holidays do come up and there's the fact of, hey, what do I need to buy my parents or my siblings for Christmas, or my girlfriend, and where am I going to be spending Christmas this year? And then another thing a lot of students, which I've noticed lately coming in, is where are they going to be housing next year? And for a lot of students, that's a new thing they've never had to deal with before, and it can be really scary, and you don't know how much to budget for. You don't know who you're going to live with. All those things can be really, really intimidating. But on the flip side of that, I would like to also say I've had a lot of students that come in and they're like just excited that break is coming up and they know they are passing everything. And so it's kind of just like a quick reminder of what we've done throughout the semester so far. And they're like, yeah, I'll see you next spring. And it's kind of just really exciting for some of them. So some are at a really good place, while others do tend to have a lot of stress right now. So we're not just seeing a lot of stress at this point.
So breaks, whether it's winter break, summer break, are generally the hardest times for a lot of people. And a lot of times it's that element of they get out of the swing of their friends are here, their routine is here. And a lot of times we see people struggle quite a lot over that winter break. So if anybody has concerns for a friend or themselves related to self-harming behaviors or suicidal thoughts or ideations, definitely reach out to us, whether it's calling the clinic, emailing us, one of us directly, even just talking to a faculty, staff, or a residence hall person and saying, hey, this student we have concern for, could you check in on them? We would be more than happy to reach out. We do that quite often for people. A lot of times that student is very open to talking with us and they don't really get mad about somebody saying, hey, we have concern. And we don't even usually let them know who said they had that concern, unless it was specifically wanted for us to do that. So the main thing is, like, if there is a big concern out there, just let us know.
So for people that are experiencing those stressful times, what are some things that you guys do to try to help them with that? How do they try to overcome their circumstance?
Well, I would say, like, first of all, talk about it out loud. So sometimes we think about our problems, we don't do anything but think about them. And when thoughts are in our head, it's abstract. We can't see it, touch it, manipulate it. If you say it out loud or you write it down, generally it makes it a little more like, okay, now I can do something with that. And that goes into, like, making a plan, or at least identifying the problem to make a plan. And generally when I say make a plan, we also encourage making it a visual plan sometimes, whether that means like a list or using your calendar, or however that works for you. But Carrie also she mentioned earlier about meeting basic needs, so I'll just going to let you talk about that.
Yeah, one thing I notice is that when students have that sense of overwhelm or a lot of stress, is they forget to meet those really basic needs. Like, going to bed at a decent time. How many of us have pulled an all-nighter or stay up till 4 in the morning, and then the next day you're just can't really do a whole lot? So making sure that you try to stay to that routine that you've really already developed for yourself over this semester. And if that already means staying up late, that's fine. But if you usually go to bed at 10, please keep trying to keep going to bed around 10. Also, some students, they'll either overeat at this time because of the stress, or they're just gonna totally forget to eat their regular meals. And again, if you're not eating and you're not sleeping and also getting water in your system, it's gonna make you feel worse, and it can create health problems in itself. So definitely just basic needs, just follow the basics, and that's where to start if you're really struggling, is making sure you're doing that.
So like in that basic need, the thing that popped in my head was caffeine. So if you're not sleeping well, and let's say you're trying to study all day and you can't focus, because the first thing that's going to go if you're not rested is your ability to focus and memorize. And what do we need to do at the end of the semester? Be able to focus and memorize. So then people generally turn to caffeine in that moment to help them do those things. However, caffeine's also going to prevent you from sleeping very well. And so watching the amount of caffeine you're taking in, especially that 5 or 6 hours before you want to actually fall asleep.
I know you had mentioned sleeping better, eating better, that people cram this time of year. Sometimes we create stress ourselves. How can we kind of avoid this in the first place?
Start earlier. Start your making a change in how you college a lot earlier than finals week. And I think that's where Carrie and I have seen, like, some of our students that we're talking about that come in and have success stories at this time of year, generally are students that we started working with a long time ago. It isn't the ones that came in the last 2 weeks. Those students who have worked hard at developing new habits and how they manage their college life and their college expectations, they do see success by the end of the semester, but they put in work a long time ago. When it comes to those students who maybe just realized how bad it is, we encourage them to kind of accept where they're at. Like, if you aren't going to pass a class, it's time to accept that and move on from stressing about it, and try and start doing that element of planning. Now what? And then being open to the other opportunities out there. Don't get so rigid in your thinking because you're so stressed out that you're not seeing all your other opportunities, all your other resources, and other ideas for what you could do now.
And one thing I notice is a lot of students will come in and they'll say, there's no way I can get it all done, right? There's so much on my plate. So we'll literally sit down and go step by step, okay, what actually needs to get done? And then we'll talk about when they have the time to do that and how they're going to do that in a very realistic way. And then by the end of the session, we talk about stress levels. They'll come in on a scale of 1 to 10 at like an 8 on the stress scale. And by the time we go through and talk about it and make a plan, they'll say, hey, I'm feeling way more at like a 2 or a 3. Like, I can do this. I just need to sit down and knock it out, and I'm going to be able to do that. And it just gives them the confidence that, oh yeah, there is still some time to get it done. And I think that's just really important, to not let those anxieties continue to just increase and snowball. It's important to really face it and look at it in a rational way and say, oh yeah, actually it's not as bad as I thought.
What kind of happens when people don't cope with their stress properly? Obviously, there's certain effects for different people.
We see a lot of people get sick a lot easier. Obviously, if you're not sleeping well and eating well, your immune system's not going to react well to that either. A lot of stomach aches or bathroom issues generally tend to happen with a lot of that stress. Your performance doesn't go as well usually. You're just not able to do what you normally are able to do. And like we kind of mentioned before, like your memory just isn't going to work as well because you can't focus as well. So a lot of that goes back to that basic need self-care element. And then with anxiety or stress, like it's not necessarily anxiety, but when our stress starts making a lot of decisions for us, it can kind of make us like more stressed out. We look at things in such a way that it's like, this feeling's going to last forever. No, actually it's not going to last forever. But we do have to do something about it.
Oh, I totally agree. There's so much to say about our situation is just temporary. It's a matter of fighting through it and working at it And then really there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like there's going to be like a week left, and then you get break. And for a lot of students, that's going to be very relaxing and fun and enjoyable. Not necessarily for everybody, but it's really something we can look forward to. What are you going to, I like to ask students, what are you going to do over the break? Like, what do you have exciting going on? And I think that also kind of gives them like another little boost of energy to finish strong, so that they can be happy with what they've done with the semester and enjoy their time away for a little bit.
And I think something to add to this, and I know it's not necessarily like the effects of not coping with stress, but one of the elements that we could have mentioned earlier is, what are your expectations of the semester, of yourself right now? Like, what's an expectation that's feasible? Because part of accepting where you are is accepting that maybe your expectations a little bit skewed, like, and it's okay to change what our expectations are, whether that's our expectations of ourselves or the people around us, and adjusting that at this point.
To kind of help cope with stress a little bit and try to get something maybe to look forward to a little bit, there are certain things that SDSU does on campus to kind of give students a little bit of a break. Can you tell me a little bit about some of those things?
Yeah, so actually it's, I know that this has already occurred, but a couple weeks ago, I am the advisor for the SDSU Lost and Found chapter, which is a super great group. Just putting a plug in, please join. But we do a lot of self-care activities and help students learn how to take really good care of themselves, so that first they're taking care of themselves, and then they can focus on being there for others when needed, and then also what we can do for the community to make it a better place for all of us to have good mental health. But anyway, so Lost and Found did an event called Yoga Nidra that was hosted at the Wellness Center, and it was a great opportunity for students to learn new meditation and yoga skills to help them through these stressful times. Another thing Lost and Found is doing is they are bringing in some pets into the not the Wellness Center, I'm sorry, the Union, and so people can come in, just kind of relax, because you know, if you're just kind of hanging out, petting a dog, enjoying that, it's very, very relaxing. And so I believe they're doing that on the 4th and the 6th. So please come check that out. And I know that the Wellness Center has done some other activities, if you want to talk about that, Jess.
Yeah. They're going to do the Distress Fest, which they generally do at the end of most semesters, and that's the 3rd and 4th, and they have a lot of relaxing type of programming and stuff that students can stop in and just do really quickly, or they can stay for a while. Briggs Library has some coffee and food and stuff the 5th, 6th, and 9th after 7 p.m. And then I know that the halls throughout the semester generally have different programmings. Like, I myself have worked with 2 different hall living and learning communities on programming that they've done. So I would encourage students to kind of look around them. I know sometimes they don't see it, and then they're like, well, I want a program. And it's like, there have been a lot of programs on campus. It's just sometimes we wait until we feel bad to figure out what that is. So the halls have a lot of stuff going on. The Union, I think, has a lot of different things going on with the different student groups. And like Warrior Week was just a few weeks ago, and I work with the Veterans Affairs Department a lot with a lot of their programming. And like Carrie had said, she's part of the Lost and Found group. And so just encourage you to look around. It's on websites, it's out on billboards for different things that are going on.
Absolutely. So then how can students reach you if they're looking for guidance from either of you?
So you can call the Student Health Clinic at 688-4157, or just look at the website. There's, I think, a generalized email that students can use. It's not hard to find us specifically. I'm Jessica McLaughlin at my SDState email address. And but basically that phone number and the website are the major ways to get a hold of counseling services.
Carrie and Jess, thanks so much for coming in to speak today about the stress of finals week. You're so great. You're so easy to talk to, which is really relieving to hear for other students who may be looking for guidance on these issues. This is Between Classes. Thanks for listening.